Hi, this is GILA. So, what would you say to our new Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who has promised to deliver Brexit at last? And what would we want him to do now that already some 13% of our population are Muslims and rising fast? What practical but also humane solutions are possible in the failed multicultural disaster that Britain has become in order to restore true freedom of speech and human rights for everyone, and pride in our own country and its long history and rich culture? Well, the sooner that our government and its leadership not only recognise the full extent of the problem and where it actually comes from, the ethically deeply problematic verses in the Quran, such as 8, 12, 9, 5, 9, 29, and many others which teach hatred, bigotry and misogyny to faithful Muslims and command the abuse of, and some even the murder of, non-Muslims simply because of their beliefs. But that our government also names and shames the problem openly, publicly. The less damage, I believe, in the long run to us all and to our country. If Boris does not grasp the nettle of Islamic political ideology firmly and wholeheartedly, then he urgently needs to be replaced by a party and a leader which does. Now, I think the best one would probably be for Britain and its stalwart leader, Anne-Marie Waters. But all those parties with a genuine and practical alternative to rebuild British freedom and human rights outside both the major parties of Labour and Conservative surely need to come together in some form of association or understanding to support each other at the next general election. To our new Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, I would say that if you want to stop a bloody civil war from erupting in the future, probably sooner rather than later now, I fear, then don't just listen to the very real pain and anger from the hearts of many, many good British people. Stop the Islamicization of Britain and throw out that ridiculous term, Islamophobia. Fearing the very real implications of all the anti-infidel teachings in Islamic holy writings is not an irrational phobia and has nothing to do with somebody's colour, ethnicity, or so on. It is based simply on a realistic and rational analysis of what Islamic political ideology actually teaches. Stop the ridiculous thought crime legislation, in particular the very badly drafted hate crime legislation, which can be so misused to turn good people into supposed criminals. Stop bringing in any more Muslim immigrants. Start apologising to the British people for your own and previous government's deep betrayal of them. Start openly and publicly condemning the hateful and bigoted parts of Islamic ideology and remove the citizenship of and deport anyone actively promoting jihadi atrocities. Start requiring all Muslims in public office and all imams who preach in mosques to renounce officially and publicly the evil verses of the Quran and Hadith, such as Quran 8, 12, 9, 5, 9, 29, and actually many others, for the overt hatred and bigotry towards non-Muslims which they promote. Any riots or threats of riots by Muslim men who don't like the idea that there is nothing special about Islam any more than any other unpleasant political ideology like Nazism, need to be put down firmly by the police and, if necessary, by the army. Everyone needs to be subject to the same fair and just and equal British rule of law. Now, anyone who doesn't like this is, of course, free to leave and go and live in an oppressive Sharia state, such as Iran or Saudi Arabia. But we, the vast majority of ordinary people, want Britain to be free for all its people. Sadly now, although I believe passionately in freedom and human rights under the law for all people, irrespective of race, creed, or sexual orientation, I consider now, thanks to how far down the road we already are to a Sharia-run oppressive state, these kinds of measures, however draconian, are clearly needed to restore the balance. And while you're about it, while of course every consenting adult should be free legally to live their lives as they choose in private, stop trying to teach innocent 4- and 5-year-olds about what would have been considered only a generation ago, and still is by many religious people today, as deviant sex, which they are far too young to understand. Bring back some real sanity as well as freedom and human rights to all British people. So those are my own thoughts at the present time. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have any constructive suggestions of your own? Certainly, if you do, I'd be interested to hear them. In the meantime, we have a British lion to support. And if you possibly can, please attend the Free Tommy Robinson rally this Saturday, the 3rd of August, in Oxford Street in central London. I'm going to give a link to a video and an article about it on tr.news. Finally, please keep Tommy and his family in your thoughts and prayers. Drop him a line if you can. And don't be a dimmy. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good evening. Goodbye.